Hi, Journalism 110 Online. Why I want to do this assignment is we're going to start to introduce one of the important themes, or themes of this semester, and that is this idea of the First Amendment versus censorship, self-regulation, and regulation. So one of the things in my face-to-face class that we kind of touch on through each chapter, and I'm now introducing to you, is this idea of censorship versus self-regulation and regulation. We have the First Amendment. So in most cases, you are not going to have direct censorship. The First Amendment won't allow for it, right? We're going to see a few exceptions to that when we get to chapter 14 and we discuss law and things like that. But for the most part, if you want to put out a controversial book, or you want to create a controversial movie, or if you want to, for example, just going to lower this here for a second, or if you wanted to, as we saw with the military discussion, if you wanted to do a film and you wanted to get help from the military on equipment and expertise, and they didn't like your film, it's not that the military could say to you, you can't do this film, right? You could still, as a filmmaker, make that film. You just wouldn't get the cooperation from the military in terms of their expertise, or you wouldn't be able to borrow equipment from them. So we're very protected in many, many ways by the First Amendment. However, I would ask you, can you have a wardrobe malfunction on purpose during the middle of a Super Bowl? You can't, right? When you turn on a radio station like KMEL, do they swear? Do they drop a bunch of F-bombs? They don't. And when we get to the coming up chapters of chapter 7 and chapter 8, we're going to start to take a look at why. Why is it that you can't say certain things on the radio? And is that censorship? Is that regulation? Is that self-regulation? So all of these are going to be things that we're going to start to think about. Now, that's the first video. I'm going to give you a second video on this that's going to introduce your assignment. Wait, I'm popping back on because I realized I didn't finish. There was something else I wanted to say. So when we think about censorship in this class, what we're talking about in this class is censorship when the government says you can't publish something, okay? Then we have self-regulation, and then we have regulation. So we're going to figure out how that comes into play with chapter 7 and 8. But also, I want you to be thinking about film. There is a rating system. So who is doing that? It's not the government. Who's doing it? And I would offer to you that it is the industry itself, that a lot of times you will find certain industries trying to regulate themselves, and they try to do that in an effort to not have the government try to jump in there and do some sort of regulation. So I want you to think about that.